You remember The Sopranos? One of the great shows in television history. Remember this?
They wanted me to wear a wire, but I wouldn't do it. But now there was a murder, Christopher, and they know about it. At the club, Matouche and some other guy, and I tried to cover it up. I had no choice.
That's the great acting of my next guest, Drea De Mateo, an Emmy award-winning actress with leading roles in The Sopranos, Desperate Housewives, Sons of Anarchy, and so much more. Drea, great to have you with us today. Thank you so much.
Hey, Vince, thanks for having me. My God, listening to that scene. Sorry. It made me laugh, even though I know I was hysterical crying there.
Were you laughing at your own performance? Is that what's happening?
I am. I'm sorry. And especially because we're talking about the feds, and God knows.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's a big topic of conversation these days.
It's a huge topic. All right, well, let's start with what you're up to this weekend. You are a part of the Rescue the Republic rally that's taking place Sunday in Washington, D.C. What is this?
Yeah, we're on our way from New York right now, driving in. It is, it's our last-ditch effort to try and convince. I think a lot of conservatives and Republicans already understand what's happening. I think most people are awake, but I think that my liberal brothers and sisters, because I consider myself a liberal still, but I guess some people would say I'm a libertarian at this point, but all of my liberal friends who are about to be called the left behind liberals, they're voting for war, they're voting for censorship, they're very mixed up and confused, and I'm hoping, not only are we coming there to get together and hold hands and hope and pray for peace and for a change, but I think that it's also we need to reach a different crew of people while we're there, and hopefully some of them can hear the messages of all the great speakers that are going to be there, because a lot of people don't understand what's happening. Yeah. When Trump says drain the swamp, he doesn't define it, and all of these minds do. Kennedy always does. I think Kennedy will be there, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, Russell Brand, Lara Logan, Brett Weinstein, I think, organized the event. I love listening to him speak about what's happening in the world right now.
He's great.
Very articulate about it. Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson will be there. There's a lot of amazing minds that have been at the front of this movement since COVID. And I think it's a really important movement. And I think this is our last cry for peace. And it's funny that and everybody's coming together. So it's Democrats, yeah. Republicans, everybody is standing together, the ones that are awake right now. And it's a hard hill to climb, for sure.
A lot of the people you just referenced, a lot of the people you just referenced are, as you know, either former Democrats or maybe even still consider themselves kind of Democrat, but they're very, like you, very disillusioned with the current state of the Democrat Party, and are very upset about all of the corruption in the establishment in Washington and the effect it's having on the rest of us. You mentioned earlier that you said that you have friends that you say are confused liberal friends. And I almost take optimism. I almost get some encouragement out of the idea that they would be confused. That's at least a good starting point. The ones I'm worried about are the ones who just are blindly following the Democrats here into the abyss. I'd rather you be confused than just like straight up blindly going off the cliff.
Well, sadly, they're not saying they're confused. It's more of a, feet dug into the pavement, saying, no, this is what I know, and this is the truth. Ah. And they're completely captured by the insanity that's been put forth on the left for the last 4 years, even longer than that. But God knows it's definitely ramped up, and it's ramping up even faster in these last 6 months, even in these last 6 weeks, really. I mean, I can't, when I watch this stuff on television, because I do want to watch the opposition sometimes, and I absolutely cannot believe how they can lie so blatantly. It's all in plain sight. Nothing's really hidden anymore. So that confuses me, that my friends can't see the truth, and everybody's raging for a machine instead of against it. And I don't understand how that flip happens.
So yeah, that's
the
key.
That they were, they're being taken advantage of, and the American people are being undermined every single day. It's an insult to their intelligence, but they're going for it, and that saddens me beyond belief.
So, Drea, I'm just going down the list of things, and you mentioned some of them, but, the things that they're supporting now are, the forced vaccinations of the country, the perpetual war posture without justification, without American interests being at stake, the alignment with huge corporations, concentrations of very corrupt power. I'm not talking about sort of like good free market practices. I'm talking about, very much in bed with the government, cronyism, big censorship regimes, again, with the government being involved, the big pharmaceutical companies linked up. These are basically the Democrats in particular, but Republicans are not, are not innocent here. There are plenty of Republicans who are still a part of that established mentality. They're not serving the people well. And boy, that spell needs to be broken.
No, and then when you see these endorsements that they want to brag about on the Kamala side with Dick Cheney and, all the neocons, and they're bragging about it like, oh, he's such a tyrant that we're supporting her. And it's like, no, everybody look a little deeper into that model. This is a completely different thing. They are a continuation of the Bush administration.
Are you surprised? I just want to use something that I thought would play a bigger role in the election, but, it seems to have faded very quickly for, I guess, political reasons. But President Trump has been nearly assassinated twice over the course of the last month or so. July 13th, he was shot through the ear, barely survived being on stage in Butler, Pennsylvania. What is going on with the left that nobody seems to really care about that at all? In fact, it's almost like there's encouragement for it. There's surveys, unfortunately, that have been done on the subject, and there are a scary number of people who oppose Donald Trump who think that the country would have been improved had he been assassinated. What's going on there, Drea De Mateo?
I feel like that is one of the most disgraceful movements in the history of mankind. The way Hollywood has reacted, I don't think anybody should be cheering for the murder of anybody ever in this lifetime. I don't understand any of this stuff. And I think we're also living in a very desensitized, overly sensitive time in a weird way. I think no one even looks at what's happening between Ukraine and Russia, that this could escalate into war on our own territory. And we watch everything like it's a video game from afar because we're so desensitized that no one really understands what it feels like to have that right in your backyard. And if you don't have empathy, then and I think we're dealing with a culture of people that are, I don't know what has happened in the last 3 years, but it feels like we've slipped into another dimension spiritually, even just psychologically, emotionally. There are a huge percentage of people that have really sort of lost touch with reality, I feel like, and those are the ones that are cheering his death on, which I think is a disgrace. Yeah.
So help me understand, to the extent that you can, kind of the mentality of Hollywood here, because I watched with some interest, Kamala Harris and Oprah did a big, kind of fraudulent event. It wasn't a real interview. It was a campaign event. And they brought in all these Hollywood celebrities. And I question the wisdom of bringing in Hollywood celebrities to try and convince anybody of anything these days, because it does feel like media consumption. People are interested in like authentic, natural people now and not A-list celebrities telling them who to vote for. But they thought this would work. And they brought in Julia Roberts and Ben Stiller and Meryl Streep. And you see all of this. When you see them saying Kamala brings joy to the country, and it's so great, and everything's going to be great with Kamala as president, what motivates that in your view? Is that authentic? Do these people really think that, or is there something else going on?
I mean, maybe they were all at a freak off at Puff Daddy's. Who the hell knows? But the other side of it is, if these actors are unaware of what's actually happening underground, and it doesn't take more than 10 minutes to dig underneath a few rocks on the internet. You just have to get past the first 30 pages on Google. But once you get there and you know what's going on, if any of them truly understood what they were endorsing, this joy thing, this is just a continuation of some crazy Nazi stuff. And they like to coin that to the right. And it's like, no, she's using forward for her campaign. That's the great leap, number one. I mean, it's like they're being tricked into believing that democracy is threatened on the right when they are actually, performing coups all over the world and within our own country. I mean, no one is watching what's happening here.
Can I say something I just noticed? It was something I just noticed about you as an actor, and distinguished from them, is that you actually have thoughts about this subject and ideas, and you can convey them really well. I've noticed that the actors and actresses who support the left, their posture is just mindless pablum. Like, they need script writers, actually, because I was listening to them speak in support of Kamala Harris, and it was mindless. It didn't compel me in any way. It was sort of just like all of these very bizarre emotional appeals with awful writing.
Was it all about abortion and LGBTQ and like social issues?
100%.
Any liberal right now who's focused on abortion is truly, I mean, any one of these celebrities that are focused solely on abortion right now, and this is coming from a liberal. My great-grandmother was an abortionist in 1950s Harlem. I can talk about this all day. If you focus on that right now, there's not even going to be an America left to exercise those rights in. I mean, this whole UN Pact for the Future that was happening here in New York, if they only understood what they were actually giving up in the face of all these fancy words like sustainability and climate this and that and the other thing, if they actually understood what was being hidden and slipped into all of these little pacts for the future and giving up our sovereignty, their heads would spin.
Yeah,
so
big time.
I don't know.
It's all a hustle.
No idea.
So the event is Rescue the Republic, and people can find out more about it at jointheresistance.org. It's taking place this Sunday, the 29th. It's got a fantastic lineup. It's also got some musical performances. Skillet, 5 Times August, Deepak, The Defiant. There's a whole bunch of great groups who are going to be a part of this.
Struggle Jennings, I have to mention him because he's my kid's uncle.
Oh, there you go. Struggle Jennings. Yes, indeed. And before I let you go, I had one more topic I wanted to hit with you, and I'm going to hit this with Dr. McCary coming up at 5 o'clock. I know that you're also very concerned about the state of the nation's health and the quality of the food supply. These are things that they really shouldn't be partisan issues. And in fact, if anything, it used to be there was really Democrats who were more interested in this than Republicans. But it does seem like this is a massive issue that really shouldn't have any partisan battle lines, should it?
No, because just the way the media is captured and the banking systems and big tech, there's big ag, and it's the farming. The farmers are being pinched. Every plant in America has been burnt down. A lot of them in the last 2 years. But aside from all of that, the food system, they need to keep us sick so that they can keep making money. I mean, it's a continuous war machine on the people, nonstop, all day. I cannot believe how many pharmaceutical ads there are on TV now with their side effects and why anybody would even attempt putting that in their bodies. And I think there should be preventative medicine, and preventative care should have insurance for it. That is, I think, going to be the thing that saves this country when it comes to the health stuff. But right now, I think what's most important is save the nation from a nuclear war.
Yeah.
Civil war, and then we can deal with all of I think everything that needs to be handled is so big. So having Tulsi Gabbard and Robert Kennedy, she'll go into the DOD. He goes into all of the food and health and pharma. I mean, they're an arm of the government right now, which is insane that all of a sudden pharma has this much say in what we do.
Yeah, and we've seen the effects of that. Look at the opioid crisis is a very awful expression of what you're talking about. Drea De Mateo, I am so grateful for your time today, and I hope we get the chance to talk again in the future. Thank you very much for joining us.
Vince, before I leave, I just want to shout out my company, ultrafree.co. So everybody please support small businesses, and we're supporting patriotism like no other. Ultrafree.co.
Ultrafree.co. I love that. CO, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just went there. Oh, you have some awesome clothing. That's cool.